Hey Moonlovers, welcome to another episode of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones. And I would like to apologise for the inconsistency of All Things Moon podcast recently. I've been struggling to work out how to fit it into my week because I've been a lot busier with work, teaching classes, that's Pilates reformer classes. I've done some yoga and sound healing retreats. I've done quite a lot of astrology readings, which is fantastic. And I do like to have the house to myself if I can to do this. So I've just been waiting for the washing machine to finish, and then the postman knocked at the door. And my first go at coming on here, the sound and the visuals were not syncing up. There was a long delay between the camera and my voice, so I've had to just sort that out. I'm here. I'm just going to go for it. I don't have much of a plan for today. I just figured if I keep sitting here procrastinating, working out how to make it perfect, I will never ever get on here. So that's been a little bit of a theme for the week, because yesterday we had a full moon in Scorpio. So that was at 23 minutes past 6 in the evening last night in the UK. And a Scorpio moon is always generally quite intense and heavy with emotion. Obviously, it's a full moon, so when the moon is full, it's illuminating something. And the Scorpio moon is generally always illuminating something that we've kept hidden in the basement, in the dark cupboard that we don't want to look in. So a general theme for the full moon ceremony that I held online last night, it was a beautiful ceremony. And, I didn't mince my words. I didn't try to flower it up, even though this moon is known as the flower moon, because at this time of year, it's when in the northern hemisphere, we've got spring happening and the wildflowers are appearing. There's poppies everywhere. So we're getting that sort of opium scent in the air. But the general theme of this moon is, what have you been avoiding? I love when the signs come, the synchronicities happen. I've been listening to a podcast by Florence Given. It's the Florence Given Show. And she seems to be, without even meaning to be, on point with the general energy of the week. And this podcast I listened to this week was called What Thing Are You Pretending Not to Know? And straight away that can give us a bit of a chilled feeling in our bones, that uncomfortable feeling of, oh no, whatever it is, I'm going to have to confront it. That is the energy of this moon. And the moon is also in a square to Pluto. So this is the fixed signs that this will be highlighting for. Scorpio, Taurus axis. The sun is in Taurus. The moon is in Scorpio. Pluto is in Aquarius. So that the moon across to the sun there is in a square to Pluto. Pluto I call the purge. Scorpio I call the grudge. It's when we do our shadow work here with that big light of the moon illuminating what needs to be dredged up from the bottom of the deep dark ocean to be seen and dealt with. If you've got your chart in front of you, you can see where the sign Scorpio is. So, some people say I haven't got that in my chart. Yes, you have. We all have all 12 signs. It just might not have any planets there. It might be empty. But if you go to your chart and look at the houses where Scorpio is, that is the subject that this moon will be illuminating for you. And my Scorpio is in the 12th house. That's where Neptune is for me. So any illusions that I might have been under in all things hidden, that's the 12th house. It's stuff that's hidden below the surface. That is what I need to be confronting. So double difficult here for me. So my altar last night was full of obsidian, which is the mirror stone. It's the volcanic rock that acts like a black mirror to show you what it is that you've not been seeing. The black tourmaline on there for protection, and labradite, the veil stone. So labradite, you have to hold it in the right light at the right angle, and it will give you the iridescent truth. Yeah, so that is really the energy. Radical self-honesty as well, because as you probably well know, last Sunday Uranus finally moved into the sign of Gemini after his long 7-year stay in Taurus, which was in my daily routines. It was in my health. Everything radically changed right at the beginning of that 7 years. And I've really struggled to get a routine back in my daily routines. It's been a long road to getting me back to some kind of good state. And that's just not my physical health, mental health, emotional health. So what is rising to the surface for you? What is rising to the surface for the collective? I'm sure when we look out there now, it's really obvious that deep, dark, hidden truths are being dredged up to the surface to be seen. Those illusions that we've been under as a collective are crumbling, coming down left, right, and center. Mars is in the sign of Aries, taking action. Saturn is in there. Neptune is in there. Neptune, the illusion. Saturn, the reality of things. Mars allowing us to actually do something about it now, rather than floating adrift in the Pisces waters. So this really was a full moon that was not sort of like for gentle reflection. It really was where you would sit in a dark room with yourself, confront yourself, and ask yourself that question: what have I been avoiding? What thing are you pretending not to know? Thank you, Florence Given, for that question. Radical. That's your Uranus truth. Uranus wants us to be free. It's now in the sign of Gemini, the mind. It wants us to free our minds from everything that's weighing heavy on it. And the only way we can do that is to go into that dark cupboard, turn the light on full, and clear it out. Symbolic or not, this is the energy of now. And if we do keep avoiding it and we don't confront it, what keeps happening? It keeps continuing to bring us pain. Yeah. We've also got 2 full moons this month of May. So there'll probably be a lot of, hype about it being a blue moon. But basically that means that it's not so usual to have 2 full moons during one sign. So whilst the sun is in the sign of Taurus, we are going to get 2 full moons. We've just had one on May the 1st, Beltane, May Day, leaping over the fire, that sign of fertility, the celebration of things being fertile, ready to be created. Yes, so that's the energy of now. And then at the other end of the month, we have, or the end of the sun being in Taurus, we have another full moon in sign of Sagittarius, which I'm much more excited about. And that's why it's once in a blue moon. That's the moon won't appear to be blue. It will just be a full moon. But it's unusual to have that. So I like to look at it that we are being given the chance, whilst the sun is in an earth sign, to stay grounded whilst we release this stuff that we're looking at now at the beginning of this month. Yeah. So when we sit with our journals, when we sit with ourselves in the darkness, confronting what it is that we've been avoiding, we can look forward to the fact that we have another opportunity to release whilst we still can stay grounded. Because once the sun moves out of Taurus, it's going to be in Gemini and it's going to be crossing over past Uranus. Yeah. So that air energy, that frenetic electric shock energy is going to be much more prevalent. So let's tap into this lovely spring-like flower, wildflower. So the word wild is really on my mind at the moment. And I put out a post this week on my Instagram that I've been hanging on to again. You know, the little perfectionist in me, my Virgo moon, didn't want to release that post until I had put it out. What I'd done with what I put it out with the intention of starting a collective, a wild spirit collective. This has been growing like a little seed in the dark, and it's ready to bloom now. It's in sync with what's happening here. So I don't know what it's like in other countries, but here in the UK, everything is blooming early. Something to do with the weather. I don't know if it's manipulated weather, whether it's environmental, who knows? But things are coming out much earlier than they usually do. So I applied that to myself, and I had an incident on Thursday, something that just activated that Mars activation of Uranus, radical, just do it now kind of energy, and to not keep waiting and waiting to be ready, because when are we ever ready? So I won't tell you the whole story, but basically it was that classic thing where I'd been hanging on, waiting to do something until I was ready, and already somebody else has come in and taken that opportunity ahead of me. And it was like, there it is, there's the lesson. So I decided to put this post out just to see, just put it out there, see what happens. And I've had an amazing response to it. And now people are actually interested. And so that means I've actually got to do it. And I don't actually have what I want to give them ready yet, but it's activating me into action to just do it anyway. Just start it. Just, don't lose those people when somebody else comes in and takes them away. They want to come to me, to what I've got offering, and I need to accept that. So I've had this theme this year of fuck what they think. I've got that on my screensavers to remind me, just keep saying that to myself, fuck what they think. And our nervous system needs to catch up with that change. So every time I'm coming to that, for our nervous system to feel safe and familiar with this new way of being, we need to do the breathing, we need to do the nervous system regulating. We're hearing that everywhere at the moment, but that is, it feels like it's trending or something, but that is because Uranus in Gemini is going to affect our nervous system. Uranus is that static, and Gemini is the mind. So this is going to be working over time, and this is 7 years worth of this. So we need to learn how to take care of an overloaded nervous system. And if we want to step into our true identity, our authentic, radical truth, our authentic expression, our fullest expression, then we need our nervous systems to be okay with that. Otherwise, it's just going to keep bringing us back to what's safe and familiar, which may not be what we want, but it's what our protection system wants for us. And it gets in our way. So when we're starting to work with a new identity, so not a new identity as in not being yourself, but me being more yourself, more the full you, looking at your chart, understanding who you really are and who you have been avoiding being because of maybe outside influences, external programming. So the radical thing about Uranus, it wants us to be free from that. It wants us to free our mind. It wants us to be free from being manipulated by the external. And, it's no good if we're manipulating ourselves. So this is why we need to sit with what it is that we really want, to understand ourselves better so that we're not going through this painfulness all the time. So more about the Wild Spirit Collective later. But for now, we'll just look at this moon that we've got. So there's an unusual aspect aligning up with this moon, which is known as a boomerang, yod. It's a yod. So there's an alignment directly from the moon where it goes up to the sun. So the moon in Scorpio, and then it's the Venus and Saturn are sextiling each other. So that alignment to the moon is creating what's known as this boomerang yod. And my understanding of that is that it could be quite a forceful type of energy. So just beware of being too forceful with your change, or somebody trying to force change on you. But this is quite a forceful energy with Mars in there in Aries as well, alongside Saturn. This is creating this kind of need to get that change happening, but not doing it in an aggressive, forceful way. But this is quite, that kind of change is likely to happen. Just tapping into Scorpio and Taurus. Scorpio and Taurus are actually money signs. Yep, they are relative to, Taurus is relative to the second house of cash, property, possessions, material things, income that you earn as you. And Scorpio is relative to anything to do with finances, to do with others. So that might be a business partnership, a joint enterprise of some kind, your resources that you share at home in your house with somebody else. It could be to do with inheritance money, things like that. The 8th house is the death, rebirth, transformation. Scorpio is the alchemist. So we want to have a look. We can see in there where maybe there is hidden money. So this might suddenly bring up some hidden money that you didn't realize that you had. It comes to you by all of a sudden. And all of those things are more likely to be for us if we do that work and we allow that in, using Venus's receptivity to receive what it is that is due to us. Yeah. Some of the people that I go to sort of listen to what they're saying, I usually do a little bit of research around to see what all the different astrologers are saying, and then I sit with it myself to see what's coming up. So I think there obviously is a personal thing that comes from each astrologer as their individual self. So for me, it really is this, what have you been avoiding? What are you pretending not to know? But one astrologer that I usually rely on for slightly more depressing, dark side of things actually pointed out that this Venus sextile to Saturn could bring in soulmate commitment. Yeah, Venus being love and relationships, Saturn being commitment. So there could be that moment of committing in a relationship. So Uranus has just moved into my house of relationships. So, something, a sudden change there is highly likely for me. But that globally, collectively, could also bring in, sextiles are a moment, an opportunity for something to happen that is harmonizing those two planets together. So actually, those two together could be committing to peace. We have to be ever optimistic. Jupiter is still aligning in the sign of Cancer where it's exalted, bringing in compassion and nurture and protection, safety. So it indicates, a long-term karmic goal related to security through love, money, or peace. So that is quite a standout feature in the chart of this full Scorpio moon, is that Venus sextile to Saturn. It's a fated configuration. It's like a destiny moment, but it is to do with love. It is to do with relationships. It is to do with finding peace. It could be to do with commitment, but there is also on the flip side of that, because full moons are a time of culmination point of endings, it could also bring the ending to something that needed to end as well. So a sextile would not force anything, but that yod, being a forceful energy, could force your hand to do that. So just wanted you to be aware of that as well. Another thing that we have happening at the moment is Mercury is in a really tight conjunction to Chiron. So the wound, Mercury, the mind, how we communicate, the moon illuminating what's been hidden. So the likelihood of communicating your hurt, your need to have boundaries, your need to speak your truth about what it is that's been hidden could really come up right now. And it needs to, we don't want to miss this opportunity, because as I said, it can lead to just more pain and prolong the pain. So, that conversation maybe that you need to have, this is the time. Yep. No more hiding away from it. Some other interesting things that are in there at the moment is that as Uranus has moved into Gemini, it's also very close to Sedna. Sedna is, I think, takes about 1,000 years to go around, but it's currently in Gemini, and the myth of Sedna is to do with severance. It's to cut the long story short, her father tries to marry her off. No one is good enough for her. And then this very powerful man comes along. She gets married off, and it turns out that he's the Birdman, and he takes her to this island. And she doesn't want to be there, so she asks her father to come and get her, which he does. He arrives in his kayak. It's the Inuit, it's the Eskimo, it's that kind of myth there. And he takes her in the kayak, and there's a storm, and the kayak tips up, she falls out, but she's hanging onto the edge. But to save himself, he chops her fingers off. And the myth is that her thumbs became the whales, her fingers became seals and sea creatures. But it revolves around the silence of being under the cold waters and severance. So what could emerge now with Uranus being close to Sedna is raw. Yeah, it's raw energy, but it's coming up from that dark silence. Yeah. And also there is a fixed star called Alcyon, which is part of the Pleiades. And the Pleiades, it's almost like they are there supporting us. They are souls that have left who are there supporting us in a collective grief. So these are all things that are around these energies at the moment. And I was actually listening to a podcast about, it was my astrology teacher, Adam Ellenbass, on Nightlight Astrology. So if you want to hear more about that, go to his channel, Nightlight Astrology, Adam Ellenbass, and you can hear more about Alcyon, the fixed star in the Pleiades. But I was actually listening to that on my way to a celebration of life for a family friend from when I was a child, had passed away at the age of 83, and we went to celebrate his life together on Tuesday. So it really did seem poignant to mention that here. But ultimately, this full moon, no matter how heavy it is, in that square to Pluto, Pluto is the word power. So let's use it ultimately for empowering ourselves, empowerment, by facing what is uncomfortable. Yeah, by recognizing what keeps repeating, why it keeps repeating, and using this identity work, regulating our nervous system to consistently make that change over time. We've got time for this change to happen. Uranus is going to be in Gemini for the next 7 years. Pluto, the planet of transformation, in Aquarius for 20 years. Saturn for a couple of years in Aries there. Neptune will be there for 14 years. Jupiter will be moving into the fire sign of Leo at the end of July. The nodes will be moving at the end of July into Leo and Aquarius. So we're going to have this air, fire energy, this change of everything for ourselves personally and for the collective. So if you would like to dig in more and see where all of this might be in your chart so you can understand yourself better, then you can go to my website and you can see there that I do a personal birth chart reading. We can do just a sun, moon and rising if it's all a bit overwhelming, because this moon energy can be overwhelming. So rather than overwhelming yourself with too much information, then we can just look at your sun, your moon and your rising to start off with. Yeah. But we can spend 90 minutes together having a look to see where all of this is showing up for you. We can see where the planets aligned now for you. We can see what perfected year you are in. So we could just look at the theme of your year, your Time Lord planet. So there is one planet that will be making a bigger effect on you from this birthday to the next birthday. So I'm really looking forward to my birthday because I've been in an 8th house year. I'm still in it. The rebirth is now happening. The transformation is happening. Next time you see me, my hair will be different because I finally booked in to have my hair done. I am going to have a little bit of a change towards more how I am feeling right now. My rebellious side is coming out. That what they think is coming out of me. So I'm stepping more into my Lilith conjunct Venus in Leo. There we go. That rock chick in me, the rebel in me, wants to step out into the spotlight to be seen. So I am not hiding that part of me that you never see, so that I can share that with you. I'm not just doing it so that you can look at me on camera and press the like button. I want to share this stuff with you. I want you to help you understand yourself. Yeah. Let's see who your full expression is. So in the background now, I'm going to be bringing this Wild Spirit Collective out to you. I'm just making sure that I decide on the right platform where we can come together as a collective in a safe container, where we can regulate our nervous systems together, where we can work on our identities together, where we can look at, we can do mood boards and vision boards together. We can journal together. I can help you start to understand your chart by doing astro lessons together, looking at how piece by piece you can start to understand your own chart for yourself. But we'll do that together, where you can even chat to each other, even when I'm not around because I'm busy teaching and doing retreats and things. So that's what is coming. It's not going to take too long. It will probably be the bare bones of it right now whilst I'm building the foundation, building the system and the structure for it. But in the meantime, there's going to be a newsletter sign up. I'm getting a new newsletter sign up. All of that is being sorted on my website at the moment. So if you can't see that on there, it's because it's all being worked on in the background, getting ready for this rebirth of our fullest expression together. So I hope this has helped you in some way. And, go listen to other astrologers, read about it, and please do contact with me with any questions that you have, because I want us to be able to communicate with each other. Now that Uranus is in the sign of communications, Mercury will be joining Uranus in Gemini soon, so we will feel very chatty. Right, so I'm waffling now, so I'm going to go, and I will endeavour to see you all again next week.